Good afternoon. So here we sit, early autumn 2021. Markets are still basically close to all-time highs. We clearly have inflation in the picture for really the first time in 30 some years, really since the early 80s. And so a question we get from people all the time is, well, what seems to be cheap? What asset class can we look at that seems to be undervalued perhaps historically? And it's not an easy answer, but one of the things that we think makes sense to think about is when you do have inflation, and we have printed somewhere around $5 trillion dollars in the last 18 months or so. When you print all that money and you have inflation, typically your currency devalues. Hasn't done that a ton, but when the dollar devalues, that's good for non US investments. And if you look at the relative performance of the US stock markets versus the international markets, and we'll look at the EFI index over here on the left, what you'll notice is that in general, you've had this time period where US stocks really since for about a decade now have outperformed international stocks by a tremendous margin, over 200%. That is a dramatic number. And if you'll notice, this goes in cycles. And we had a period in the early part of the 21st century where the EFI or non US stocks outperformed US, and this dramatic period in the mid 80s to late 80s where we had a huge outperformance by non US. Do I think that's going to happen again? What we do think is that non US is relatively cheap versus US. And I think you can see that in the difference in dividend yields in other markets versus the US. In general, again, taking the EFI index into consideration, dividend yields are about a 1.5% higher outside the US than inside the US. So it is not clear, of course, when this will be reflected and when you'll see international start to do, quote, better than US, but it is absolutely not a time to limit or diminish your exposure to non-US moving forward. Clearly a cheaper asset class right now. If you'd like a copy of these graphs, feel free to contact me. My email is ray.evans@pegasuskc.com. We appreciate you taking the time. Hope you all are doing well and enjoying the fall. Look forward to talking soon. Thank you.